Welcome to Focus Israel. 2 days ago, a young Palestinian man was arrested here in Jerusalem, armed with a knife. His expressed goal was to kill Jews. The incident has a tragic background. Rabbi Meir Chai, father of 7 from the Israeli community of Shavei Shomron in Samaria, was shot to death by Palestinian terrorists 2 weeks ago when he was traveling alone in his car on a road from which the IDF just a week earlier had removed a checkpoint. Israel's attempt to improve the life of Palestinians was thus cynically used by terrorists to murder Israeli civilians. The tragic incident received hardly any attention in Western media. On December 25th, the day after the murder, Rabbi Meir Chai was buried on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. Thousands of people participated in the funeral procession, among them several prominent politicians and rabbis. His oldest son, Eliyahu, held the following speech.
אבא ענקית אליכם, תמשיכו בדרך של אבא. אבא רצה אמונה, אבא רצה לימוד תורה, אבא רצה תפילות, אבא לא יכול לראות, אין תפילין, אבא לא יכול לראות, אבא היה חייב את כל המצוות, חלק בלתי נפרד, צריך להיות גם מאיתנו הנוח. אם אנחנו רוצים להנציח את אבא, אנחנו צריכים לעשות את הדברים האלו. לא דברים חיצוניים, לא ללכת עכשיו לעשות נקמה, לפוצץ ערבים מכות, זה לא הפתרון שלנו. ההבדל בינינו לביניהם, שאנחנו בני אדם, אנחנו לא נלך ונראה בהם בראש סתם. הם יבואו אלינו, אנחנו נערב, אנחנו אליהם לא נלך. אנחנו יהודים, אנחנו קדושים, אנחנו בני אדם.
Just 2 days later, the IDF had identified and located the perpetrators of the crime in the Palestinian city of Nablus. Ghassan Abu Sarach, Ghaed Asarkai, and Anan Sabach, members of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, considered a terrorist organization by Israel, the US, Canada, Japan, and the European Union. All 3 had previously been incarcerated in Israel for terror activity. Before the IDF elite units entered the city, the Palestinian security forces withdrew, which indicated that the operation was done in close cooperation with them. The houses where the terrorists were hiding were surrounded, and the terrorists were told to surrender. They all refused, and since they were armed, the Israeli soldiers played it safe, opened fire, and killed them. A number of weapons were found in the houses of the terrorists, among them the weapon that had been used in the murder of Rabbi Meir Chai. As opposed to the murder of Rabbi Meir Chai, this incident received a lot of attention in Western media. Bloody Day in the Middle East. The violence triggered condemnations from the Palestinian leadership. Israel torpedoes the attempts of the international community to restart the peace negotiations. Not a word about the fact that the killed Palestinians were known terrorists. Not a word about the fact that the murder weapon was found with them. Not a word about the fact that the Palestinian Authority has refused to negotiate with Israel since Benjamin Netanyahu came to power in March. And what background was given to the violence? The killed Palestinians were said to be responsible for shooting an Israeli settler to death last Thursday. A despicable settler, it seems, or a Jewish extremist, as CNN called this civilian murder victim. And the Palestinian terrorists were just said to be behind the crime, so media consumers have every reason to doubt their guilt and instead suspect that the Israeli soldiers killed 3 innocent and unarmed men. Not a word about the fact that Rabbi Meir Chai was a teacher, that he had 7 children, and that his oldest son Eliyahu, during the funeral, told his friends not to avenge the murder, to eternalize the memory of Rabbi Meir Chai by praying and studying Torah. This systematic distortion of reality unfortunately occurs all too often in news reports from Israel. Palestinian terrorists are portrayed as innocent victims of unprovoked Israeli aggression, while peaceful Israeli civilians are demonized. My name is Paul Whedon, and that's all from Focus Israel today. See us again next week.